It's 11 at night on a Tuesday. The house is quiet, but you can't sleep. You're staring at the glowing screen of your phone, looking at a credit card balance that somehow keeps growing, even though you just got paid. You feel that tight knot in your stomach. It feels like you're carrying a heavy stone that you can never put down. That stone is called interest. I know that feeling, not because I have lived it myself, but because I have sat on my porch right here in Lancaster County and watched good, hard-working English families carry that stone for decades. I have seen what it does to a man's shoulders. I have seen what it does to a marriage. I have seen grown men cry at a kitchen table because the number on a screen had grown larger than their ability to fight it. And I have spent my entire life watching my own community live completely without it. Today, I am going to share the simple $5 paper method that my community has used for over 100 years to stay completely free from debt. My name is Silas Kauffman. I am Amish. My community has never paid a single cent of credit card interest, and we buy our land in cash. This is what worked for my community. I am not a financial advisor, and I am not asking you to trust me blindly. I am asking you to test this with your own two hands. I'm going to be honest with you. The banks desperately want you to stay digital. They want you tapping your phone, never feeling the money leave your hands. I'd rather you trust the paper in your pocket than be impressed by a high credit score limit. If you go to a modern financial advisor, they will tell you to download an app. They will tell you to link your bank accounts, track your digital spending, and maximize your cashback rewards. They will talk to you about algorithms and point systems and rewards tiers. Listen to me carefully. You cannot fix a problem caused by the system by using the tools built by that exact same system. Back in the 1950s, the first credit cards were introduced to the English world. Before that, if a man wanted to buy a new plow, a new car, or a new pair of boots, he had to look at the paper money in his hand. He had to physically separate from the hours of sweat and labor that money represented. Researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology proved something remarkable about this. When you hand over a $20 bill, a specific part of your brain lights up. It is the same part of the brain that processes physical pain. Your body literally feels the loss of resources. It hurts to spend cash. And that pain is your natural defense mechanism against poverty. The banking industry knew this. They studied it for decades. And they realized that if they could remove the physical pain of handing over paper, they could make you spend 20, 30, even 40% more on the exact same things. So they gave you plastic. Then they gave you a chip. Then they put the card inside your phone so you just tap it against a glass screen. They call it convenience. I call it an anesthetic. They numb the pain of spending so they can harvest the interest on your debt. They trained an entire generation to trade their future freedom for a piece of plastic that gives them 1% cash back. It is the greatest illusion ever sold to the working man. Stay with me here, because what I am about to tell you next is the part that most people never see. I want to tell you about my English neighbor. He drives a $60,000 truck, a beautiful machine. I see it every morning when I go out to check on the horses. And I used to think that man must be doing well for himself. Until one autumn evening, standing at the fence line between our properties, he told me that he was paying $800 every single month for that truck, that he had 6 more years of payments ahead. that he had not taken his family on a vacation in 3 years because of what he owed. He doesn't own that truck. The bank owns it. He is renting his pride from a lender who charges him thousands of dollars for the privilege. Have you ever looked at something you own and then realized quietly that you don't actually own it? That somewhere there is a number in a computer that says the bank has a claim on that thing before you do? That question is worth sitting with tonight. In my community, we don't play their game. We don't care about a credit score. A credit score is only a measure of how obedient you are to the lending system, how reliably you borrow money and pay it back with interest attached. It is not a measure of your character. It is not a measure of your integrity. It is a score that only has meaning inside a system my community was never part of. When someone among us needs to buy land, we don't go to a bank. We go to each other. Neighbors pool their resources. Families contribute what they can. The community buys the land together, and the family pays back the community at their own pace, with no interest and no penalty. The land is owned free and clear from the day the deed is signed. No banker can ever knock on that door and threaten that family's home because of a difficult month. In Pennsylvania Dutch, we call this principle gelassenheid. It means yielding to the good of the whole. It means your neighbor's security is your security. It means wealth is not something one man accumulates alone. It is something a community builds together, slowly, with patience, and without debt. I know you cannot rebuild your entire community overnight, but you can start rebuilding your own household. And it starts with something far simpler than you think. We call it the envelope boundary. It doesn't require a smartphone. It doesn't require an app. It requires a $5 box of paper envelopes, a plain pen, and the discipline of a grown adult who is tired of carrying that stone. Before I show you exactly how it works, I want to say one thing. This method will feel entirely backwards to everything modern society has taught you about money. Good. That discomfort is exactly the point. The system made you comfortable with invisible money so that it could profit from your comfort. The discomfort of holding paper is the beginning of your recovery. Here is exactly how you do it, step by step. Step 1. On the day you get paid, you leave only the exact amount of money you need in your checking account to cover your fixed, automated bills. Your mortgage or rent, your electricity, your insurance. Things that must be paid through the digital system. Everything else, every single remaining dollar, you walk into the bank and you withdraw it in physical cash. You will feel strange doing this. The bank teller might look at you differently. They don't like it when you take your paper out of their vault. They want to keep it, lend it to someone else, and charge that person 19% interest on it. Ignore the teller. Take your paper. It belongs to you. Step 2. You bring that stack of paper home. You sit down at your kitchen table. Not in your car. Not at your desk at work. At the table where you feed your family. You take out the envelopes and your plain pen. You write specific categories on the front of each one. Groceries, gas, household supplies, clothing, entertainment. You decide the categories based on where your money actually disappears every month. Write the labels in your own handwriting. That act alone makes it more real. Now you divide the paper. If your monthly grocery budget is $400, you count out $400 in $20 bills and place them inside that envelope. You do this for every category until every dollar is resting in its designated paper home. Nothing left loose. Nothing floating in a digital account waiting to be spent without consequence. Step 3. And this is exactly where most English men and women fail. This is where the discipline has to live. When you go to the supermarket, you leave your debit card and your credit card at home. Locked in a drawer, you bring only the grocery envelope. You walk the aisles. You fill the cart. You get to the cashier and you look at the total. If the total is $150 and you have $140 in your envelope, you do not swipe a card to cover the difference. You take the $10 box of cookies out of your bag. You hand it back to the cashier and you say, "I am sorry. I don't have enough for this." That moment of slight embarrassment is the boundary doing exactly what it is supposed to do. That is the physical reality of money returning to your life. Feel it. It means the system is working. When an envelope is empty, you stop spending in that category. Period. You do not borrow from the gas envelope to buy a steak. You eat beans and rice until the next payday. You respect the paper. You might be wondering about online shopping, about bills that must be paid through the internet. Here is the rule. If you must buy something online, take the physical cash out of the correct envelope first. Drive to the bank. Deposit only that exact amount. Then make the purchase. Yes, it is inconvenient. Yes, it requires effort. That is exactly the point. Friction is your friend. Friction gives your mind the time to ask whether you actually need that item. Half the time, by the time you drive to the bank, you will decide to keep the paper in your pocket instead. And that small decision, made 10 or 20 times a month, is how a surplus begins to build. One more thing before we finish, and I ask that you pay close attention to this. Think about what the envelope boundary teaches the people who are watching you. When you give a child a digital card, money becomes invisible to them. They tap the plastic, the toy arrives, and they feel nothing leave their hands. We are quietly building a generation with no understanding of where money comes from or how much anything actually costs. But when your child sits beside you at that kitchen table and watches you count paper into labeled envelopes, something shifts in them. They see the stack get thinner at the store. They learn without a single formal lesson that resources are finite. That money is not generated by a screen. It is earned by hours of a person's life. That is a lesson no app will ever teach. The banks will try to tell you that carrying cash is dangerous, that you might lose it, that someone might take it. Let me tell you what is truly dangerous. Reaching 65 years old and realizing you have handed $300,000 in interest payments to banks over your lifetime, just for the privilege of swiping a piece of plastic. Being one difficult month away from losing your home because you borrowed a lifestyle that was never truly yours to begin with. A thief might take $100 from your wallet, but the credit card company takes your future, legally, with your own signature, every single month. I have stood on this porch and watched good Englishmen take their credit cards out of their wallets for the last time. I watched them cut those cards in half, slowly, with a pair of kitchen scissors, and I have seen the look on their faces when it was done. It was the look of a man who has just set down a stone he had been carrying for 20 years, without realizing how heavy it had become. That moment is available to you, right now. It does not require a bank's permission. It does not require a financial advisor to approve it. It requires $5 in envelopes and the decision to take back what is already yours. If what you heard tonight changed the way you see your money, I want you to stay close. Next time we sit down together, I want to talk about what happens when the envelopes start building a surplus. What you do with that paper. How to turn it into something that no bank can ever touch again. Land, tools, real ownership that passes to your children without a debt attached. If you want to be here for that conversation, you know what to do. Debt is a chain you lock around your own neck. It steals your tomorrow to pay for your today. The people who built this country with their hands knew that. They valued sweat. They valued paper. They valued peace of mind above comfort and convenience. They didn't worship ease. They worshipped independence. We are only just starting to remember what they knew. Take back your paper. Take back your peace.